Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of Unity Prime, watching the stars through the huge window. The space station orbited Earth like a giant metal moon. Jake had been in charge of Earth's defense fleet for 5 years. He never thought he would need to use it. The alarm started ringing. Red lights flashed everywhere. Lieutenant Billy Chun ran to Jake's side. "Sir, we have contacts. Big ones. They just appeared at the edge of our solar system." Jake looked at the main screen. 12 massive ships hung in space near Pluto. They were unlike anything humans had ever built. The ships were dark and covered in strange symbols. Each one was the size of a small city. "How many people are on those ships?" Jake asked. "We don't know, sir. They're not responding to our calls, but the energy readings are off the charts." Jake had fought in 3 wars. He knew what warships looked like. These were definitely warships. His hands shook as he reached for the communication button. "This is Admiral Morrison of the Earth Defense Fleet. Please identify yourselves." The response came immediately. The voice was deep and cold. It spoke perfect English, but there was something wrong with it. Something that made Jake's skin crawl. "We are the Vorthic Empire. You will surrender your planet immediately." The main screen changed. A creature appeared on it. It had 4 arms and skin like black leather. Its eyes were yellow and glowed in yin. The dark, sharp teeth filled its mouth. "I am Supreme Commander Zythkar. Your species is now property of the Vorthic Empire. You have 72 hours to surrender completely. If you refuse, we will destroy every living thing on your planet." Jake's mouth went dry. "We need to talk about this. Maybe we can work something out," the alien laughed. It was a horrible sound. "There is nothing to discuss. We have conquered 47 worlds. None have ever refused our offer. Look and learn what happens to those who resist." The screen showed images that made Jake sick. Planets turned to ash. Cities melted into glass. Millions of people running and screaming before they died. World after world destroyed completely. "You see," Zythkar continued, "resistance is pointless. Surrender, and some of your people will live as our slaves. Fight, and all will die. You had 72 hours. The screen went black. Jake stood there for a long minute. His crew looked at him with fear in their eyes. "Get me President Carter, right now." On Earth, President Lisa Carter was in a meeting when her phone rang. She saw Jake's name and answered immediately. "Lisa, we have a problem. A big one." 20 minutes later, Lisa stood in the Situation Room deep under the White House. General Carl Hughes was there. So was Dr. Kate Williams, the smartest person Lisa knew. Around the table sat the most powerful people on Earth. "Show them the recording." Lisa said. Everyone watched the alien's message. When it ended, the room was silent for a long time. "How many ships do we have?" General Hughes asked. 37 combat vessels, Jake replied through the video link. "But they're nothing compared to what we just saw." Dr. Williams leaned forward. "We need to understand what we're dealing with. These Vorthic have conquered 47 worlds. They must have a pattern, a way they operate." "What do you mean?" Lisa asked. "Think about it. They give a surrender. Ultimatum. 72 hours. That's very specific. They show images of destroyed worlds. They want us to be afraid." "We should be afraid," General Hughes said. "Did you see those ships? Did you see what they did to those planets?" "Yes, but why give us time at all? If they wanted to destroy us, they could start right now. Instead, they're waiting." Lisa stood up. "What are you saying, Kate?" "I'm saying they prefer surrender to fighting. It's easier for them. They want us to give up without a fight." General Hughes slammed his hand on the table. "So what? We can't fight those ships. We'll all die." Maybe, Dr. Williams said quietly. But maybe not. We don't know everything about them yet. Above them, in space, Captain Ryan Foster got ready for the most dangerous mission of his life. His ship, the Defiance, was small and fast. It could hide from enemy sensors. "Ryan, you sure about this?" his pilot asked. "No, but we need to know what we're fighting. Stay close to the asteroids. If they see us, we're dead." The Defiance moved through space like a ghost. Ryan and his crew got close enough to see the alien ships clearly. They were even bigger up close. Strange energy fields surrounded them. "Look at how they're positioned," Ryan said. "They're in a perfect formation, very neat, very organized." "Is that good or bad?" asked Lieutenant Sam Parker. "It means they're confident. Maybe too confident. They think we're going to surrender, so they're not worried about an attack." Ryan took pictures and recorded everything. The information would be important later. Back on Earth, news reporter Tom Bradley stood in front of the camera. Behind him, people were running everywhere. Cars filled the streets as families tried to leave the big cities. "This is Tom Bradley reporting from Washington. The president will address the nation in 1 hour. People everywhere are asking the same question. What will Earth do? Will we surrender to these aliens, or will we fight?" In her office, President Carter looked at the speech her writers had prepared. It talked about negotiation and finding peaceful solutions. She threw it in the trash. "Get me a pen," she said. "I'm writing this myself." The clock was ticking. In 68 hours, Earth would give its answer to the Vorthic Empire. Lisa Carter knew that her next words would decide the fate of every human being alive. President Lisa Carter stood behind the podium in the United Nations building. Every seat was filled. Cameras from around the world pointed at her. She had never felt so much pressure in her life. "My fellow humans," she began. 3 days ago, we learned we are not alone in the universe. We also learned that some of our neighbors are not friendly." She paused and looked directly into the camera. "The Vorthic Empire has demanded our surrender. They want us to become their slaves. They think we will give up without a fight because we are afraid." Her voice grew stronger. "They are wrong. We are afraid, but we are not weak. We are human beings. We have fought for freedom since the beginning of time. We will not stop now." The room was completely silent. "I speak for all of humanity when I say this. We reject your ultimatum. We will not surrender. We will not become slaves. If you want Earth, you will have to take it from us." In space, Commander Zethkar watched the broadcast. His 4 arms shook. With rage, he had never seen such stupidity. No species had ever refused the Empire's offer. "Impossible," he growled. "They choose death over service. These humans are insane." He turned to his officers. "Begin the attack. Destroy their outer colonies first. Show them what happens to those who defy the Empire." The Vorthic ships moved toward Earth like hungry wolves. Their first target was Luna Base on the moon. Colonel Amy Torres commanded the base. She had 800 soldiers and 20 defense turrets. The aliens had ships that could destroy planets. "Here they come," her radar operator said. 3 ships heading right for us." Amy looked at her troops. They were scared, but ready to fight. "Remember, we're not just fighting for Luna Base. We're fighting for our families back home. We're fighting for the right to be free." The first alien ship fired. Its beam weapon cut through Luna Base's outer wall like a hot knife through butter. Amy's soldiers fired back with everything they had. Their missiles exploded against the alien shields, doing no damage. "Keep firing," Amy shouted. "Make them work for it." The battle lasted 6 hours. Amy's people fought like lions. They used every trick they knew. They hid in the tunnels under the base. They set traps. They never stopped fighting, When it was over, Luna Base was destroyed, but the aliens had lost one of their ships, Amy Torres, and 50 of her soldiers were still alive, hiding in the deep bunkers. "Colonel," one of her men said, "we hurt them." "Did you see that? We actually hurt them." Amy smiled through her tears. "Yes, we did. Send a message to Earth. Tell them the Vorthik can be beaten." Back on Earth, Dr. Eric Stone worked in his laboratory under the Rocky Mountains. He had pieces of the alien ship that Amy's people had destroyed. He studied them day and night. "There has to be a weakness," he said to his assistant. "Everything has a weakness." He looked at the alien metal under his microscope. It was stronger than anything humans had ever made, but it was still just metal. It could be broken. "Look at this," he said. "See how the energy flows through these crystals? If we could disrupt that flow somehow ... Meanwhile, engineer Beth Harper was turning car factories into weapons factories. She had thousands of workers building missiles and armor. The sound of hammers and welding filled the air. "We need more steel," she told her foreman, "and more workers. Every person on Earth needs to help." "Ma'am, we're already working 24 hours a day. Then we work harder. The aliens think we're weak. Let's show them what humans can do when we're angry." Captain Ryan Foster's ship, the Defiance, struck at the alien supply lines. His crew had become experts at hit-and-run attacks. They would appear out of nowhere, fire their weapons, and disappear before the aliens could respond. "There's another supply ship," his pilot Sam Parker said. "Should we hit it?" "Absolutely. These aliens need supplies just like we do. If we can cut off their food and fuel, they'll have problems." The Defiance swooped down on the alien ship. Ryan's crew fired. Their new weapons, the ones Dr. Stone had designed. The alien ship's shields flickered and died. Direct hit. Sam shouted, "Their shields are down." The supply ship exploded in a ball of fire. Ryan felt a moment of satisfaction. It wasn't much, but it was something. All over Earth, people were changing. The fear was still there, but it was mixed with something else now. Anger. Determination. The aliens had made a mistake. They had given humans time to get ready. In New York, factory worker Joe Martinez spent his days building weapons. At night, he trained with the city militia. "My grandfather fought in World War II," he told his friends. "He didn't give up when things looked bad. Neither will I." In London, Dr. Helen Shaw worked in the emergency hospitals. She treated wounded soldiers and civilians. "These aliens think they can scare us," she said, "but humans don't scare easy. We get tougher when things get tough." Commander Zethkar was beginning to understand this. His easy victory was turning into a real war. The humans were supposed to break after the first attack. Instead, they were fighting harder. "Sir," one of his officers said, "we're having trouble with our supply lines. The humans keep attacking our ships. How is that possible?" "Their technology is primitive. They single quotes adapting, sir. They learn from each battle. They're getting better at fighting us." Zethkar felt something he had never felt before. Doubt, maybe. These humans were different from the other species he had conquered, but it was too late to stop now. The Empire had given its ultimatum. If the humans would not surrender, they would have to die. All of them. He ordered more ships to attack Earth. The humans wanted a war? He would give them a war they would never forget. On Earth, President Carter got the reports from the battles. Her people were dying, but they were also fighting. Back, for the first time since the aliens arrived, she felt hope. "How many alien ships have we destroyed?" She asked General Hughes. 5 confirmed kills, maybe more. "And we're building new weapons every day." "Good. Send a message to all our forces. Tell them to keep fighting. Tell them that Earth will not fall. The war for humanity's survival had begun. The aliens thought they were fighting primitives. They were about to learn that they had picked a fight with the wrong species. The Vorthic ships came like a storm. They bombed cities around the world. New York, London, Tokyo, and Mumbai all burned. Millions of people died in the first week of the real war. But something strange happened. Instead of giving up, the humans fought harder. Every destroyed building was rebuilt in days. Every bombed factory was replaced by 2 new ones. The aliens could not understand it. Commander Zeethkar stood on his ship's bridge, watching reports from the battlefield. His officers looked confused and worried. "Sir, the humans are acting very strangely," one officer said. "We destroyed their capital city, but they moved their government to another location in ours. We bombed their factories, but they built new ones underground. What about their military?" Zeethkar asked. "That's the strangest part, sir. Every time we kill their soldiers, more appear. They're training civilians to fight. Even their children are helping to build weapons." Zeethkar had conquered 47 worlds. He had never seen anything like this. Usually, after the first big attack, the enemy would surrender. These humans seemed to get stronger when they were hurt. Dr. Kate Williams worked in a secret laboratory under the city of Denver. She had been studying the alien psychology for weeks. What she found surprised her. "General Hughes, I think I understand why they're so confused," she said over the video link. "The Vorthic have always fought weak enemies, species that gave up quickly. They don't know how to handle a long fight." "What do you mean?" the general asked. "Look at their attack patterns. They're very organized, but they don't change. They do the same thing over and over. They expect us to break, and when we don't, they just try harder with the same tactics." General Hughes smiled for the first time in weeks. "So they're not as smart as they think they are." "Exactly. They're bullies. And bullies don't know what to do when someone fights back." This information changed everything. General Hughes sent new orders to all Earth forces. Instead of trying to match the aliens' strength, they would use different tactics. Hit and run, ambush, guerrilla warfare. Captain Ryan Foster got the new orders while hiding in an asteroid field. His ship, the Defiance, had been attacking alien supply lines for weeks. Now he had a new mission. "We're going after their command ship," he told his crew. A big one in the center of their formation. Lieutenant Sam Parker looked worried. "Sir, that ship has more weapons than the rest of their fleet combined." "I know, but it also has their leader. If we can hurt him, maybe we can hurt their morale." The Defiance moved through space like a ghost. Ryan's crew had learned to hide their ship's heat signature. They looked like just another piece of space. Junk. They got close enough to see the alien command ship clearly. It was massive, covered in weapon turrets and shields. But Ryan noticed something important. "Look at the rear section," he said. "See how there are fewer weapons there? And the shields look weaker." "It's their engine section," Sam said. "They'd probably figure no one would be crazy enough to attack from behind. Then they don't know humans very well." Meanwhile, on Earth, engineer Beth Harper was working on something special. She had built a new type of weapon, one that could punch through alien shields. It was based on Dr. Stone's research, but bigger and more powerful. "We only have enough materials for one," she told President Carter. "But if it works, it could change everything." "What do you need?" the president asked. "A brave crew willing to fly it directly at the alien ships. It's a suicide mission." President Carter was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "I'll ask for volunteers. But I think you'll be surprised how many people step forward." She was right. Within hours, hundreds of pilots volunteered. They all knew they probably wouldn't come back. They didn't care. Earth was their home, and they would die to protect it. Colonel Amy Torres, now a general after her heroic defense of Luna Base, led the liberation of the moon. She had survived the first battle by hiding in the deep bunkers. Now she was back, with 1,000 soldiers and new weapons. "This is for everyone who died here," she told her troops as they landed on the moon's surface. "We're going to take back Luna Base, and we're going to make the aliens pay for every inch of ground." The battle was fierce. The aliens had turned Luna Base into a fortress, but Amy's soldiers fought with a fury the aliens had never seen. They used the tunnels and craters to their advantage. They set traps and ambushes. After 12 hours of fighting, the human flag flew over Luna Base again. The aliens were retreating, and for the first time, they looked scared. News of the victory spread across Earth in minutes. People cheered in the streets. Children drew pictures of General Torres and her soldiers. The aliens could be beaten. Earth could win, but the war was far from over. Commander Zethkar was preparing his final assault. He would bring every ship, every weapon, every soldier he had. He would crush these stubborn humans once and for all. "Prepare for full attack," he ordered. "Destroy every human city. Kill every human soldier. Leave nothing alive." Captain Foster's mission was about to begin. His ship approached the alien command vessel from behind. The massive engines glowed with deadly energy. "Remember," he told his crew, "we only get one shot at this. Make it count." The Defiance fired its new weapons directly into the alien ship's engines. The explosion was enormous. The command ship shook and started to spin out of control. "We did it," Sam shouted. "We actually hurt their flagship." But their victory was short-lived. The alien ship's weapons turned toward them. The Defiance was fast, but not fast enough to escape completely. "We're hit." Sam called out, "Engine damage. We're not going to make it back to Earth." Rian looked at his crew. They were the best people he had ever served with. They had known this was a one-way mission. "Send a message to Earth," he said. "Tell them we completed the mission. Tell them to keep fighting." As the Defiance limped through space, damaged but not destroyed, Ryan felt proud. They had proven that humans could hurt the aliens. They had shown that Earth would not give up. Back on Earth, President Carter received the message. She stood in the Situation Room, surrounded by her advisors. The alien fleet was coming for the final battle. "How many ships do we have ready?" she asked. 43 combat vessels, Admiral Morrison replied, "plus the new weapon Beth Harper built." "And how many ships do they have?" "Over 200, ma'am." The odds were terrible. But Carter had learned something about her species in the past few weeks. Humans didn't give up. They fought harder when things looked impossible. "Send a message to all our forces," she said. "Tell them this is it. This is the battle that decides whether humanity lives free or dies fighting. Tell them to make Earth proud." The final battle was about to begin. The aliens thought they were fighting primitives. They were about to learn that they had awakened something dangerous. They had awakened the fighting spirit of humanity, and that spirit burned like fire. Dr. Eric Stone's hands shook as he put the final piece into his new weapon. He had been working for weeks without sleep. His eyes were red, and his beard was messy, but he had done it. He had found the alien's weakness. "This should work," he told his assistant. "The energy pulse will overload their shield generators. For about 30 seconds, they'll be completely defenseless." "Only 30 seconds?" the assistant asked. "It's enough. Our ships just need to hit them hard and fast during that window." The first test came when Captain Foster's damaged ship, the Defiance, limped back toward Earth. 3 alien ships chased them, trying to finish them off. Foster's crew was tired, and their weapons were nearly empty. "Fire the new weapon," Foster ordered. Lieutenant Sam Parker pressed the button. A strange blue light shot from their ship toward the nearest alien vessel. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the alien ship's shields flickered and died. "Now!" Foster shouted. The Defiance fired everything it had. The alien ship exploded in a ball of fire. The other two alien ships stopped chasing them. They looked confused and scared. "It works," Sam yelled. "The new weapon really works." The news spread quickly. Earth's forces finally had a way to hurt the aliens. But they needed more weapons, and they needed them fast. Engineer Beth Harper worked day and night in her factories. She had workers building the new weapons as fast as possible. Sparks flew and hammers rang as thousands of people worked to save their world. "How many do we have ready?" President Carter asked during her daily visit. 50 weapons, ma'am, and we're making more every hour." "Is it enough?" Beth looked tired but determined. "It has to be. We're not getting a second chance at this." Meanwhile, General Amy Torres was preparing for the biggest battle of her life. She had been promoted to commander of all Earth forces after her victory at Luna Base. Now she stood in the command center, looking at the screens that showed the alien fleet. "They're coming, her." Aide reported, 200 ships. "They'll be here in 6 hours." Amy nodded. She had 43 ships to fight with. The odds were terrible, but she had learned something about human courage. When things looked impossible, humans fought their best. "Send a message to all our captains," she said. "Tell them today we find out what we're made of." Captain Nick Butler commanded the heavy cruiser Thunder. He had been a merchant ship captain before the war. Now he was in charge of 30 guns and a crew of brave men and women. "Are you scared?" his gunner asked. "Terrified," Nick replied honestly. "But I'd rather die fighting than live as a slave." Commander Sarah Davis led a squadron of fast attack ships. Her pilots were young and eager. They had trained for weeks. But this would be their first real battle. "Remember," she told them over the radio, "we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for every human who ever lived. We're fighting for the future." The alien fleet approached Earth like a dark cloud. Commander Zithkar stood on his flagship, watching the small human fleet move to meet them. He was angry and confused. How could these primitives still be fighting? "Sir," his officer said, "they're outnumbered 5 to 1. Why don't they surrender?" "Because they're insane," Zithkar growled. "But their insanity ends today. All ships, attack formation. Show them the power of the Empire." The two fleets met in the space between Earth and the Moon. The aliens fired first, their massive weapons lighting up the darkness. The human ships scattered, using their speed and small size to avoid the worst of the damage. But the aliens were too strong. 3 human ships died in the first minute, then 5 more. General Torres watched from her command ship as her people died. "We're losing," her aide said quietly. "Not yet," Torres replied. "Signal all ships. Execute Plan Omega." Plan Omega was their secret weapon. All the human ships would work together to create one massive attack. It was dangerous and desperate, but it was their only chance. The human fleet regrouped and flew straight at the alien flagship. The aliens laughed and prepared to destroy them all at once. But they didn't know about Dr. Stone's new weapon. "Fire," Torres ordered. 50 blue beams shot from the human ships. They hit the alien flagship and spread to the ships around it. For 30 seconds, the aliens had no shields. "All weapons now," Torres shouted. The human ships fired everything they had. Missiles, lasers, and plasma beams hit the alien ships. Explosions bloomed across the alien fleet like deadly flowers. When the smoke cleared, 20 alien ships were destroyed. The humans had lost only 2 more ships. For the first time in the war, the aliens were losing. But the victory came at a cost. The human ships had used most of their ammunition, and there were still over 100 alien ships left. "Sir," Zethkar's officer said, "we've lost 20 ships." "How is that possible?" Zethkar stared at the human fleet in shock. He had never lost so many ships in one battle. These humans were not like the other species he had conquered. They were dangerous. "Signal all ships," he ordered. "Full attack. I want every human ship destroyed." The battle continued for hours. The space around Earth became a graveyard of twisted metal and burning ships. Both sides fought with everything they had. Captain Butler's ship, the Thunder, was badly damaged. Half his crew was dead or wounded, but he kept fighting. His guns never stopped firing. "Sir, we're losing power," his engineer reported. "The engines are failing." "Then we ram them," Butler said. "Set course for that alien cruiser. Full speed." The Thunder smashed into the alien ship like a hammer. Both ships exploded in a ball of fire. Butler and his crew died, but they took 300 aliens with them. Commander Davis watched her pilots die one by one. These young people who had trained so hard were being killed by an enemy that showed no mercy. But they never gave up. They kept fighting until the end. Sarah, one of her pilots, said over the radio, "I'm hit bad. I'm not going to make it." "Hold on, Jimmy. Help is coming." "No, it's not. But tell my mom I died fighting for her. Tell her I died free." The pilot's ship exploded against an alien vessel. He was 19 years old. As the battle raged, something unexpected happened. Ships began appearing from all over the solar system. They came from hidden bases in the asteroid belt. They came from the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. They came from places the aliens didn't know existed. Engineer Beth Harper had been busy. While the aliens were watching Earth, she had been building a secret fleet. Now that fleet was ready to fight. "Surprise," she said over the radio as her ships opened fire. The aliens were surrounded. They had come to destroy Earth, but Earth had been ready for them. The humans had learned to fight smart, not just hard. Commander Zethkar realized he was in trouble. His easy victory had become a nightmare. These humans were not primitives. They were warriors, but he still had more ships than the humans. He still had weapons that could destroy planets. If he could not conquer Earth, he would destroy it completely. "Charge the planet killer," he ordered. "If we cannot have this world, no one can." The battle was reaching its climax. Both sides were running out of ships and ammunition, but only one side was fighting for their home. Only one side was fighting for the right to exist. The humans were not going to give up. They would fight until the last ship was destroyed and the last person was dead. They would rather die free than live as slaves. And that made all the difference. The planet killer weapon was the size of a building. It sat in the belly of Commander Zethkar's flagship like a sleeping monster. When it fired, it would turn Earth into a ball of molten rock. Charging sequence initiated. The alien weapons? Officer reported. It will be ready in 10 minutes. Zethkar watched the battle raging around his ship. His fleet was losing. These humans had surprised him at every turn. But it didn't matter now. In 10 minutes, they would all be dead. On Earth. President Carter stood in the deep bunker that served as her command center. The reports from the battle were mixed. They were holding their own, but barely. "Ma'am," Admiral Morrison said, "we're detecting a massive energy buildup in the alien flagship. It looks like some kind of super weapon." Carter felt ice in her veins. "How long do we have?" "Maybe 10 minutes. Then ... Morrison didn't need to finish. Everyone knew what would happen. Dr. Stone looked up from his computer. His face was pale but determined. "There might be a way. The energy readings I'm seeing..." If we could overload their power core, the explosion would destroy their entire fleet. How do we do that? Carter asked. Someone would have to get inside. Their ship. Plant this device right next to their main reactor. It would cause a chain reaction. It would spread to all their ships. The room went quiet. Everyone understood what that meant. It was a suicide mission. I'll do it, Captain Foster said over the radio. His ship, the Defiance, was barely holding together after the earlier battle. My ship is already damaged. We won't make it home anyway. Ryan, no, Admiral Morrison said. There has to be another way. There isn't time to find another way. Foster replied. Besides, this is what we signed up for. To protect Earth, no matter what. President Carter closed her eyes for a moment. She was asking these people to die for humanity. But she knew they would do it willingly. Do it, she said quietly. Godspeed, Ryan. The Defiance turned toward the alien flagship. The huge ship was surrounded by smaller vessels, all firing at the human fleet. Getting through would be almost impossible. Sam, Foster said to his pilot, can you get us to that ship? Lieutenant Sam Parker looked at the enemy fleet. There were hundreds of weapons pointed at them. I can try, sir, but we'll need some help. Help came from an unexpected source. All around the solar system, the remaining human ships turned toward the alien flagship. They had heard Foster's plan. They knew what they had to do. All ships. General Torres said over the radio, form up on the Defiance. We're going to clear a path. What followed was the most desperate battle in human history. Every remaining ship threw itself at the alien fleet. They didn't try to win. They just tried to create a hole for the Defiance to get through. Captain Butler's replacement, Commander Jake Miller, rammed his ship into an alien cruiser. For Earth, he shouted as both ships exploded. Commander Davis led her remaining fighters in a final charge. They swarmed the alien ships like angry bees, drawing. Fire away from the Defiance. Sarah, get out of there, Foster called to her. Negative, Ryan. We're going to make sure you get through. Tell my family I love them. Her fighter squadron died to the last pilot. But they had done their job. The path was clear. The Defiance flew through the gap in the alien fleet. Enemy fire exploded all around them. The ship shook and systems failed, but Sam Parker kept flying. We're almost there, he said through gritted teeth. Hold on. They crashed into the alien flagship's docking bay. The impact threw everyone against the walls. Half the crew was unconscious or dead. Move, Foster shouted to the survivors. We don't have much time. They fought their way through the alien ship. The corridors were dark and filled with strange smoke. Alien soldiers tried to stop them, but the humans fought like demons. Foster carried Dr. Stone's device in his backpack. It was heavy and making strange noises. They had to get it to the reactor room before the planet killer fired. This way, shouted Sergeant Mike Rodriguez. He had studied the alien ship designs. The reactor should be down this corridor. They ran through the ship as alarms blared around them. Behind them, more alien soldiers were coming. In front of them, the reactor room door was sealed shut. Can you open it? Foster asked. Rodriguez placed explosive charges on the door. Everyone back. The explosion blew the door apart. Inside, the alien reactor hummed with deadly energy. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The device goes right there, Foster said, pointing to the reactor core. Close enough to cause a chain reaction. Sir, Rodriguez said, that's in the middle of a radiation field. Whoever goes in there won't come back out. Foster looked at his remaining crew. There were only 5 of them left. They had come so far together. I'll do it, he said. You guys tried to get back to the ship. No way, Rodriguez replied. We came this far together. We finish it together. The others nodded. They knew they were going to die, but they would die. Saving Earth. Foster activated the device and ran toward the reactor core. The radiation hit him like a wall of fire. His skin burned and his vision blurred, but he kept running. He reached the core and placed the device against it. The machine started beeping faster and faster. In 30 seconds, it would explode. "It's done," he shouted to his crew. "Run!" But there was nowhere to run. They were deep inside the alien ship. The explosion would kill them all, Foster thought. About Earth, about the blue skies and green forests, about the children who would grow up free because of what they had done here today. The device exploded. The alien reactor overloaded in a chain reaction that spread through the entire ship. Commander Zethkar had just enough time to understand what was happening before his flagship tore itself apart. The explosion was visible from Earth. A new star bloomed in space as the alien flagship died. But the chain reaction didn't stop there. It spread to the other alien ships, just as Dr. Stone had predicted. One by one, the Vorthic fleet exploded. The aliens who had conquered 47 worlds were destroyed by 5 humans with a homemade bomb. On Earth, people watched the sky light up with alien death. They cheered and cried and hugged each other. The impossible had happened. They had won, but the victory came at a terrible cost. Most of Earth's fleet was gone. Millions of people had died in the fighting. Entire cities lay in ruins. President Carter stood in the ruins of Washington and addressed the world one more time. "We have won our freedom," she said, "but we must never forget the price we paid for it." Captain Foster and his crew gave their lives to save us all. So did thousands of other brave men and women. She paused and looked up at the sky where the alien ships had burned. The galaxy now knows something about humanity. We are not the strongest species. We are not the smartest. But we are the most determined. When someone threatens our home, we will fight with everything we have. We will never surrender. We will never give up. In the wreckage of the alien fleet, a few ships had survived. They limped away from Earth, carrying the survivors of the Vorthic Empire. One alien officer spoke to his commander. "Sir, what do we tell the High Council? How do we explain what happened here?" The commander looked back at Earth, the small blue world that had destroyed their mighty fleet. "We tell them the truth," he said. "We tell them that we found a species that does not know how to surrender. We tell them that if they ever want to conquer Earth, they had better bring everything they have, because these humans fight like fire itself." The message spread across the galaxy. Other alien empires heard the story and decided to leave Earth alone. The humans had proven themselves in the only way that mattered to the universe. They had shown they were willing to die for their freedom. Years later, human ships would travel to the stars. They would meet other species and make new friends. But they would always remember the lesson of the Vorthic War. Freedom is never free. It must be earned with blood and courage and sacrifice. And sometimes, when evil comes calling, good people must be willing to pay the ultimate price. Earth had answered the alien ultimatum with flames. The flames of human courage, human determination, and human refusal to bow down to tyrants. The galaxy would remember those flames for a very long time. On Earth, children would grow up hearing stories of Captain Foster and General Torres and all the others who died to keep them free. They would learn that no matter how dark things get, no matter how impossible the odds, humans never give up, because that's what it means to be human. To face the darkness and light a fire that no enemy can put out. The war was over. Earth was free, and the flames of human spirit would burn forever among the stars.